The support of the Patreon has really made a difference and provided a model to produce free speech without censorship. I want to thank you guys again for your support. Introducing, with the support of participants like you, TartaryNova.com, where information can be shared freely. And you can discover more about the entire history by joining our Tartary live chat, which is available through our Discord. And the link's on TartaryNova.com. And the Foundry is Tartary Nova's platform where we can share things better than we can on Google or Facebook. It has a built-in music player. It has its own built-in notes system so that we can share collaborative writing projects. It even has built-in text messaging, chat rooms, and audio and video chat, which can be recorded for collaborative study. We even added an open source cartography app for mapping and are immediately in the process of working with coders to convert the map to a polar projection. The Foundry is in beta, but it's up now and it works pretty well for what it does. It's designed to have the best tools and the ones we need. If you're interested in trying out the Foundry, just visit TartaryNova.com and click on the live chat in the top right. In the Discord, you can ask either Xirtus or one of the Remembrancers or Clerifix how to get your own Foundling account. And while you're there, make sure to check out some of the research that's been going on in the Xirtus Tartary Discord, and stop by the radio chat, where you can talk and collaborate with hundreds of other people that are interested in the same subjects that you are. Here's an example of one of the discussions.
Get it out on Andreas's channel in a good way or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's it, right? I saved that conversation Nathan and I had earlier. He just didn't want to broadcast, and I got why. I looked through it again, and I was like, yeah, the next time I'm showing these ports, I'm going to take my time zooming in and zooming out, because YouTube doesn't keep up with what I do on the other screen. So it looks horrible when I go zoom in. It's like, ugh.
Well, you're practiced at it too, so you can identify and zoom and move on before people understand what they're looking at.
I know exactly what I'm looking at, but even that goes fast on YouTube, while I take it really slow. Nice little waveguide here, don't we? It's a tiny one, but it used to look like that.
Oh, that's impressive. It has
Yeah, that's definitely your fall armor.
when is this?
I spot like waveguides everywhere. 1813.
Yes.
Oh, it's okay, so it's not that old. The map, I mean.
1813, wasn't that the year without summer?
Yeah.
1813. Don't pin this on me, but
it's around there. It's around there at least.
Yeah, the famous comet and the black miasma. All of America went all wild, and somewhere around there, Tambora exploded.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
That's Tambora, not Krakatau. That was later.
No, it was, Tambora was the year without a summer.
Yeah, and a lot of other things happened as well. A lot of other things. And those are only the recorded events. So yeah, I guess something major happened that year. Catastrophe-wise, you know.
That's
I think it was Andrew Jackson was the American president at the time. And he said, or was it James Madison? Oh, no.
Yeah, it might have been Andrew Jackson going at war with the banks, wasn't it, at that time?
I think so.
Bring down the bank and so forth. And the funny thing about it is, I think Philip Drushinen has some videos on YouTube about trying to track down the federal government's money notes or federal notes during that time. There's supposed to be a federal government, but you can't find the notes from dated between 1800 up until 1856 or something. It's really weird. They're only like local bank scripts and stuff like that, and they seem fake, a lot of them. So something's weird going on. There's like the money trail ends at like in the 1850s, like where we suspect the mud flood date was.
That's quite strange, because you would think that you would find that in collections and bragged about, since old money is so widely collected.
Yeah, but yeah, it's a huge it's a whole other area of research we should go into, and I know Philip is asking his viewers for answers about it and stuff like that, so he's looking into it. But it's definitely interesting, and the channel Mud Flood that got that disappeared like 2 months, no man, maybe 3 months ago or something. He had a video about it as well, about the old money. Yeah, so it's an interesting area of research, a new rabbit hole.
Yeah, that's.
Oh, where's this, Mikey?
It's Kassel, Germany.
Yes.
This is one of the biggest waveguide resonators I found so far. It starts here or ends here.
Take me through what you see waveguide wise, because I'm not wearing those glasses yet, I feel.
Okay.
Here you go. You follow this line with me here, right? And then Nathan can explain while I'm going.
Okay.
So an antenna can collect a signal, but a waveguide can guide and propagate that signal just by the use of its structure.
Okay.
So think of how you can shout in an open space and the sound just goes away. And it's hard to shout from a distance. Now think about how it echoes when you shout down a closed hallway.
Yeah.
This is basic idea.
It's simple. I get it.
So old structures like Athena's temple, the Parthenon, even the Great Pyramids show that waveguides were used to propagate sound and RF frequency. And what is a microwave or RF frequency? It is the light equivalent of what we know as sound waves.
So could it be that in an entire city that you only need one power source or cathode, so to speak, and then the rest can be waveguides, essentially?
Yes. Think of it this way. You have a king on his throne in his hall, and his entire building is a waveguide structure. He sits on his throne at the closed end and speaks at regular volume, and this can be propagated and sent out by means of the structure itself.
And it can also be amplified and harnessed at specific points, right?
Yes,
like
and actually the wave.
accumulated.
Yes. So king on his throne, or pharaoh on his throne, speaks but a word, and the channeling structures where you see obelisks and antennas, and then you see columns in a circle, and then down a nave. All of these can actually propagate sound and RF frequencies. So if you're looking for EM and fascies tech, all you need to look at is the shape of an amphitheater and a corrugated horn, a megaphone, and your own TV antennas to understand that we could have done this. So we've begun looking for structures capable of propagating these en masse, and we're calling them resonance hubs.
And depending on the materials and the metals you use, you get all sorts of different, abilities, right? So if you use mercury on your antennas, you get a wider range, it seems.
Yes.
So yeah.
Originally, before there were cathedrals and massive churches, we had structures, and think all the destroyed Doric pillar columns and the Temple of Zeus, things like this, were capable of propagating standing waves. And we're calling these resonance hubs because they're big enough and strong enough to power the signal between weaker substations or star forts. And so a star fort citadel may be a hub, but the smaller star forts along the chain are powered and help propagate that big signal. Like a cell phone can give a Wi-Fi hotspot, but it's the cell phone tower that is the hub.
Ah, yeah, okay. Yeah, I get that.
And so at some point, we began to use these directionally, and we changed the structure that propagated the wave. And this is where, and this is but an opinion, this is where we get cathedrals from in their current incarnation. They found a way to amplify signal and reduce the space cost.
Would it be theoretically possible that you could scale down all this waveguide structure into like a handheld device?
Yeah, we've already done it.
So with this handheld device, could you get then a translation from RF frequency into electrical signals?
Yes, we've already done it.
So it would be theoretically possible that the internet we have now could be, at least theoretically, could have been in place exactly as it is today, just way back.
Yes, and we've already seen it. Jules Verne talks about something called email and inboxes and Wi-Fi before any of those words existed. He had a story in which someone could receive emails wirelessly or receive messages wirelessly, and
but the only difference between the two internets is the way that we power it today is centralized and non-natural, and then the previous one would have been naturally produced and decentralized. Or yes. I'm just guessing. You couldn't centralize it with this on these principles, right? Because everybody would know about them and everybody would know how to harness them.
Yes. And this was, when we talk about centralization and decentralization, that is the Tesla versus Edison power idea in the old power plants and how to bring electricity to everyone. But the same was said of energy. And this waveguide structures we actually use in all of our technology. We use them for magnetic resonance. But the funny thing about all of that is if an entire city is built and homes and people and commerce, all of urban life was centered in these resonance hubs, they're also communication stations, but they're also power plants, which means
they have multi-purpose.
Yes. Well, the people living in them, part of it came with more and more numbers and a greater need, of course, urbanization. But this brings me to what's been bugging me since I watched A Plain Truth cover John Levi. They're thinking that DEW weapons were used on Dresden. And while I agree, I disagree.
Okay, do you want to, elaborate on that?
They say Dresden was firebombed.
Yeah.
The plants and trees between the buildings that are completely destroyed in Dresden are intact and green. Then we take a fast forward to the proposed fires in California, and we see the same effect. Buildings are destroyed, but the trees around them and between them are intact. They think it's weapons from the sky.
Are you saying that there are still trees around here today, or at least trees 100 years old that shouldn't be there?
I'm saying that in the photos of Dresden right after the destruction, all of the trees are still green.
Oh, okay. But have you do you know if those trees you see there are still around?
It's possible. I'm not sure. But what I'm getting at with the trees still being there is that the scene doesn't look like fire ate this city from a bomb.
No.
The scene looks like a power plant overloaded. The scene looks like smart meters going off in California and electrically destroying buildings through an overload. And I think that if we follow this resonant hub structure idea, where these waveguide structures and even cities were power plants, then I think that Dresden is a blown power plant, probably intentionally overloaded and wiped off the map. Could this apply to other cities, is the question.
It's interesting. What do you think, Mike?
I'm showing images of Dresden, and I'm looking at it like, yeah, I don't know, man. They historically they used a shitload of bombs, and I still don't buy it. Why?
Where is the flung debris? Where are the craters?
That's it.
So yeah, we have also in the official story
here.
Oh yeah.
They must have had some massive street sweepers there. Look at those. Look at those streets.
The roads are intact. The naves between the roads are intact.
Yeah, I get your point. It's interesting. But yeah, we could theorize that they indeed have been swept by a lot of men, but it's just not likely, is it?
They would have cleared enough for stuff to get through, but not like this is the same.
Then you would see the edges.
This is like the entire community went out and okay, we lost our entire city. That's shitty. Now let's sweep the streets. Yay!
If you had seen the streets swept, think of a snowplow. There would be piles and piles of debris on the side of every road every so few feet.
And it would be a very, very steep hill. It would be an uphill job to do that. It would need a lot of men. Yeah,
So,
I get your point. It also looks like the debris from the buildings are falling like out on into the streets as if they imploded on site, and the debris just, you know, flattened itself and moved, you know, horizontally out. You can see if you go onto the picture again, Mike, the last picture, the previous picture, sorry. No, not that one.
This one.
That one. Yeah, and just like on the corner there, it looks like the debris has, you know, flown out from the site on into the street.
Also, look at how many chimneys are intact. I can count 10, 15.
Oh yeah, would that be because a lot of the chimneys are often placed in the most reinforced walls in a structure? They are often, you know, placed on the side of the building where you have, you know, the most reinforcement.
By virtue of the structure, the chimney should be one of the last things to fall. But
yes, also that.
But if these chimneys, as we call them, were not chimneys, but something else together.
But they are there are a lot of them. I have a lot of pictures of, you know, just in France and you know, in the 1840s and 50s and 60s, just all these industrial industrial looking chimneys like these, and you know, they seem to be just like one large tube, and then they are in red brick, and sometimes they'll be twisting and they will have small ornaments on top, and they are like they would be pretty, you know, it takes some craftsmanship to do that, to make them, I guess, to build them. So they are not like just your regular old chimney. And I've been wondering what they are, because there are a lot of them, and they seem to play in with all the rest of all the Technesma stuff, but I can't seem to figure out how.
Where have you seen these?
My French isn't good. Yeah, yeah, a lot of places, especially in Europe, I would say. I know where to find them in Denmark, and there is one in right outside Copenhagen, and it has griffins on it, actually.
Is that outside the center?
Or it's in the well, I have pictures of it, so I can find it if you want.
That's easier.
Yeah, okay, let me just locate it first, and then I'll share my screen. You can just talk. I'll find it then.
Okay, so to rehash the entire thing, yes. There's the idea that a structure itself can be used to amplify and redirect, collect and distribute acoustic or RF resonance signal.
Yes.
If this is true, then entire structures could have been, by dint of their structure, power plants in a grid, harnessing some energy of which we know exists ambient in the earth and in the atmosphere. If this is true, then perhaps some of the cities that are unexplainedly firebombed, destroyed, may have simply been overloaded and possibly on purpose. No better way to destroy any evidence than to use its very function to annihilate it.
That would be, it would be, you know, seen from a lazy point of view, very simple, and you would have need for, not workers and people working clandestinely to set things off. It would just, it would be very easy. People wouldn't know who to blame.
Yes, and what we see in California right now is PG&E, which is the power company, in lawsuits and having taken the blame for causing fires through their negligence, basically keeping the power on even after transformers have blown. So they juice the entire area, and the resultant firestorm eliminates only buildings.
Yeah.
But
that's
also,
crazy. They've taken action now. That's good.
It won't go anywhere, but it's a start. It's a first step, and the more people that know, the better. Because we
also
can be
because
under no illusion.
When you try to take it up and you're declined, then people will instantly see that, okay, wow, that's weird. So maybe we should look into this. Because
Exactly.
if they just get backhanded, then it's weird, right? They are not following up on their duties, and when people see that and experience that firsthand, and with no good justifications, then they screw themselves.
Yes, and
That's good.
I think it's a wonderful correlation that we're finally seeing things in the present helping us explain things in the past.
Yes.
Because that is the first connection that we've made to
we're
electrical
making
overloading as evidence for something that exists before we thought it did.
We're connecting real past dots with real current dots, and those are like one of the few things that are possible now with all this hidden history research, because we thought that a lot of our mainstream history was intact, and now we're finding out that we might want to shuffle the pieces of the puzzle a bit, and then we try to make these independent dots from history to current real stuff. So it's interesting. New dots are being made.
That's a modern waveguide resonator for you, Victor.
I've seen you talk about this one. And this is a radio transmitter. Where? In Germany, right?
UK.
Oh, UK. Oh, okay. And it's close. Oh, it's not close to the Star Fortress.
No, it's a castle. This is a castle. But it looks a bit like these structures that Global Vision has been showing.
Yeah, brilliant channel.
Turn the UK on.
Yeah, I don't like the name, but the content is brilliant. Brilliant.
Now, he's the one that turned us on to the function of these specific ancient structures.
You got this one. He showed this one, like a couple.
It's a round fort. I found a picture, Mike, where it says that these forts, at least the same shape, and then they go out on water, and then you could mechanically turn them, like the middle piece would be able to be turned mechanically.
It's just like that.
And that seems like an admission that, well, they could be turned, but only mechanically. And I'm like, nah, maybe there's something more to it. Maybe they could turn them, make them turn, not by the hand of humans. It seems like it doesn't seem like their style, right? It seems like they find ways to make things work without slaves and stuff.
Like putting coal in a steam engine.
Yes. So I guess that that when they admit that they could turn, it's like saying, well, they did that. They did so in an alternative way that we cannot say. So yeah, it's opening up a lot of possibilities, I think.
It's pretty cool. Like you see a lot of these structures in the UK, and I think Martin as well describes these as castles.
Yeah, but they sometimes have just like a few Starforty details to them, right? They can be like a regular old castle as we view them, and then they have like one bastion, like in a Starfort shape.
Look.
Oh, that middle piece is. It looks like a Starfort in itself. The middle piece.
This one.
Yeah. No. Oh, yeah. That's a bastion, but the middle piece.
The depressed area.
Yeah, the depressed area.
Yeah, this.
It looks like a Starfort in itself. They can be that shape. I've seen such shapes, like the Canada one. It had like a shape like that.
I've seen so many of these. I just talking about the Starforts.
Oh. Weird how there are so many in that area of the UK, right?
Yeah, but if you look at the other castles, like oh, this is another nice little wave guide. Look, this is Castle Windsor, has the same structure.
Oh yeah, Windsor is amazing. Look at that dome.
Same build up.
Can we go to? Can we show Victor the horn at Omsk?
Yeah, we can.
I think I've seen that once before. I wouldn't mind seeing it again.
Mike has it overlaid on the exact location, and it's gorgeous. As far as catching any signal and propagating the wave back out, you could, from Omsk, send a message to the entire country.
Did you mean this one, or did you mean the Ochakiv one?
Did you mean the Netherlands?
No, I didn't mean the Netherlands.
The one, the Cape Horn, the coastal horn.
And that's Ochakiv.
Yeah.
It's also good to make these overlays just to, continually reaffirm that all these old maps and plans and stuff like that are pretty accurate.
That's stunningly
accurate. It's amazing, right? Just those small details. If you hold those up to like what were people admitted to be able to do scientifically and technologically in the 17 and 1800s, it's like there's a huge gap. We should not be able to do these kind of stuff in this like magnitude.
My idea is that we never forgot.
Yeah.
See this overlay?
It's a cool one.
Now that right there, from that small fortress at the Cape Horn, the small end, you could send a message through that structure and hit every spot in the countryside. And Mike, if you were to guess how many star forts or other hubs are in that line of sight, how many would you have?
It's a lot.
There.
That's let's go back to Ochakiv again. That's this one.
So Ochakiv could theoretically have hit every star fort in that field.
Yep.
That's an entire country.
That's not an entire country. That's like almost the entirety of Western Europe. And all you need is a beacon somewhere in its direction to rebroadcast the signal elsewhere.
What determines the direction?
I think
the direction. That's the horn right there. So the wave is propagated out, and you could close off the channel to maybe half of the horn to specify the signal, but the columns and colonnades themselves will channel. So if the entire horn is open, it broadcasts to everything there. It could be tight beamed if you blocked the exits of the rest of the horn and left one area open.
And these major hubs of resonators, are they identified by having these completely rounded, reed-out fortresses around them?
Now, for it to be a resonator, one end has to be closed while the other remains open. So they're largely, if they're like this corrugated horn shape, they're directional. But others merely receive and send out broadcasts. And that would be unidirectional.
So what do you mean by that? In every direction or in one direction?
This is a receiving hub.
An obelisk, such as the Vatican, with the pillars all around it in a circle and a long nave, that is a unidirectional antenna shape. And then broadcasting, so resonance, is found in the circle of columns, and communication from the far end of the long walkway.
Okay.
But so an antenna shooting straight in the sky will pick up whatever. But if you're sitting at the edge of a coast and you shout at the small end of a large horn, the sound is propagated much further. So in essence, that's a port city communications hub where from that spot you could speak to the entire continent.
And what does the water has to play in this regard? Well, what role does the water play?
That we haven't even got into. We know that the location is important because it's on the water, and think of it like a lighthouse or an early warning system, also a herald of new arrivals such as royalty or anything. But if it is in fact connected to the water, hydroelectricity plays a part. You and I found that in the cross sections of the Starfort walls.
Yes. But also, does the water in any way help the signaling? Like if you're situated by the coast, does the ocean itself aid the signal?
While I'm uncertain on the whole, I would say no, that those are two separate means.
Right?
Because the Earth itself, you have to be down in the bedrock to tap into that vibration, which is why the Fifth Avenue mansions are drilled down to bedrock.
Yeah. So you need bedrock.
Yes, to pick up and channel those waves. For ion displacement and other like things, such as orgone and cloudbusters, water is a great help.
So most of the cities are actually, at least the major ones, are built on bedrock originally, and then layer upon layer moved up and up and up.
That's what I don't buy about the whole Amsterdam being built on a swamp story.
Yeah.
No way.
I don't buy it because like they tell us it's built on a swamp, and that's why you have all the low-lying basements and shit in Amsterdam.
It was turned into a swamp later.
Into a swamp because of mud flood. Thank you very much, Victor. Indeed.
Yeah.
And to bring it all back home, how do you turn something to mud?
Nothing.
You apply vibration,
right? Over hundreds of years, nothing happened.
Yeah, you just apply.
And then they started digging the new metro line, and the whole of Amsterdam went ape shit because all their buildings started to get damaged. You mean to tell me they didn't damage over the hundreds of years they've been sinking into the quote-unquote swamp?
Here is an idea. Because we know that sound is vibration, what if any overloaded star fort, any overloaded resonance hub being overloaded with RF or vibration. Maybe it's acoustic noise. What if that liquefied the surrounding countryside? What if mud flood? Mud flood is not the attack itself. Mud flood is the collateral damage from liquefaction when these places were attacked.
It would make sense, because then you would see mud floods only in the areas where you had these structures.
And any structure not built to significant quality standards would be gone.
But there seems to be a lot of places out in the middle of nowhere where mud floods indeed occur as well. So it's like we should be. It's like the hoax of the one cause, right? So multiple causes.
You. Yes.
The multiple causes could be having causing the same effect, at least generally speaking.
Here.
But I get that your idea, Nathan, would explain why cities such as Copenhagen and Amsterdam are having the same effects as many other cities, because Denmark and Holland are very flat countries. There aren't like a lot of potential energy in the ground, to cause mud floods, such as volcanoes and mountains have. So with your idea, Nathan, that would explain why we could have had mud floods in Denmark and in Holland.
Exactly. And lightning, we all know lightning happens naturally. Electricity, as we use it, is a harnessing of a natural effect. So if we had learned that liquefaction, though it occurs naturally, can be used, then that would explain why in some cases it'll happen where there's no star fort, because it's natural.
Yes, also
and we do see that in South America quite a bit. But if we had been bombarding with frequency in times of old, perfectly understandable that collateral damage would result in liquefaction.
Yes, indeed. Indeed. Very interesting. I'm also looking at my Starfort folder. It has nearly 2,000
you're going
images.
Going to put me to ruin, man.
Oh yeah, but I guess from those you'll be able to find out a lot of good places to look that you haven't looked before. I guess
I was going over these,
but a lot of my Starfort images in that folder aren't. There's a lot of just maps and lands of them, not specifically where they are, but there are also of course a lot of faded and tagged places. A lot of them.
Well, the problem with Mike is that there's only one of him.
Yeah.
There's a second one. There's a lady in.
But I'd like to also discuss like an idea of the Philip Tushinen idea of his idea about mining, and also perhaps metallurgy could be a big thing around the star forts. Maybe also like the more desolate ones and the smaller ones, like a small penta star fort in the middle of nowhere could be like a mining post as well.
Do you remember that New Earth video where Sylvia talks about the star fort being mined?
Yes.
That's this one on the screen.
Yeah.
What she didn't mention is that like here you can still see the outlines of it.
Yeah, but what we don't consider is that metallurgy was so important in like the pursuit of occult sciences. So they would need a lot of rare metals to pursue all their occult fantasies for weaponry and technology and stuff like that. So the innovation mind of these guys are the leaders, and there's a lot of I think we can find it in admitted history as well, that metallurgy was like a big thing to, you know, to develop sciences and stuff like that. It's admitted. So if some of these star forts were mining, we could suspect that they also were like good mining outposts, I guess. And then there's also the idea of, you know, central heating systems.
That actually, we have proof of.
We're looking at it right now.
What are you saying, Nathan?
So when I was digging through the Starfort walls and asking everyone for cross sections or pictures that showed what is on the inside of these walls, I found hydroelectricity, spaces and means, as well as gas, as well as everything, the millworks, all of the industry happened in those walls.
And why wouldn't you have all these things in the same place if you knew how to?
Exactly. So you tap into a river for hydropower, but you can also funnel steam power and gas through that. And not only that, but the aqueduct system.
And you can create electricity from all three modalities.
Exactly. So the framework in many of the photos that we have, many of the illustrations and manuals, which I've been reading through, they have all of the framework for the technology that we call new. And just like corrugated horns and waveguides and magnets,
it would also
just like ether, it's already there.
If we're correct about this, it would also explain why there are so many star forts. Like, why would you need so many? Because they're creating a type of grid, and they are multi-purposed, and they perform all sorts of functions. So when you could need a gas function, a star fort would be a possibility. If you needed a hydroelectric function, a star fort is a possibility. So that would explain why there are so many, and why they are, show up next to water, but also like on top of mountains. Like if they were
top of mountains,
the beacons.
Yeah.
No, the fact that the framework is old and already existed, that means a star fort is a standard template construct.
Yes, that's that's also my take on it. And then the standard template is just like the basic, one of the basic necessities of their world to create, or to sustain rather, civilization.
And now we get into, with those star forts, the fact that they're older than we originally thought, far more widespread.
Yeah, because Martin Lick found out that in the 1750s they say, like, the Polish aristocracy are surveying them and talking as if that they don't know what they are, and like they need to look into what they are. And
that is strange. I have a Spanish manual from the 1540s that shows the construction of star forts as a military guide. So Spain knew about it before the Polish.
But
attacked by the Spanish somewhere in the 1570s, and
what
was a star fort.
What's with all the military, Nathan, in your opinion?
I think that anything must be made defensible if you have someone that you have to defend against. So, especially if it's defending against someone you took something from. So moving into something, being on the run, being on the road, being out of your kingdom or territory, the first thing you would do is find the most defensible position.
Yeah, but they aren't exactly good in a lot of situations. Imagine if you get surrounded, you'll just be like starved, or you can be smoked, or you can be gassed. And it's not, you can be, it's hard to defend depending on how many you are, of course.
Well, in a sizable, go ahead.
So many of these old pictures that Victor has uploaded show fights going on outside of Starfort.
Yes.
There's not really a whole lot of defense of the actual Starfort going on. You see all these drawings, like with the ideal firing solutions, and there is no blind angles in this thing. But what if that was all pretty much the ruse to keep them hidden from their original purpose? But like, you put a bunch of what do you call these things? Where you put a cannon in, or you can hide yourself from the arrow fire that's incoming.
And that's why I think there's a metallurgic component to the Starforce, because they are not like fighting for a position strategically. It seems they seem to be fighting over right to the Starfort, right? They are fighting outside of them and sometimes inside of them. And whoever is stupid enough to put an army in there to defend whatever is in there, it must be something very good that they're defending, right? Because why would you just stay there? If, like, imagine you're an army and you need to defend your people, and you just like stationed outside in a Starfort. Like, you have sometimes a lot of Starforts in the middle of nowhere. You could be surrounded from 360 degrees angles, and then you would be like screwed if there's one hole into the Starfort, it's game over. So
well, take this into consideration. If the scorched earth policy is a newer policy, then destroying what you've come to take has no point. And the enemy knew that, and neither side wanted it destroyed. So that's a viable option. And a siege, we all know that a siege wouldn't work if it was a siege on a perfectly sustainable city. And inside the Starfort walls, what do we find? Waterworks, millworks, granaries, and other tech and industry. So there's no reason that a human populace would ever have to leave the walls.
This just pops into my head, right?
Yeah.
I read a piece of text about there being towers on every point you see on that line I've been following for a while. Now, what if this was just a part of the Great Tartary Wall? That's also in China, and that's also where is it? Here, and
or part of another wall, because there seem to be a lot of walls.
Who needs a wall, though?
But what if it's not a wall? What if it's like a cable, Nathan?
That was what I was trying to get to. What if
it's a field? Exactly.
That was not a wall. It was a transportation system.
Aha.
Like not an aqueduct, but an RF duct.
Yes, RF or wired. Who knows? I've been really going mad with this. We're in a Titan skull theory. So,
well, then we're looking at neuron pathways that we've just built small barnacles on.
Yep.
Well, you're not
that does explain magnets.
Starforts are the chips. What is the most important part in a computer? Chips.
Yeah.
Processors, chips. The biggest Starforts are the processors. The smaller Starforts are the controller chips.
Yeah, it's a good analogy.
It ties into so many things that it sort of makes sense.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
the Japanese were and have ever been pretty big on tech, and Japan looks like the Netherlands, and it's one of the few that does. It's full of them, and I haven't even filled in half.
That's your biggest problem. There's only one of you.
Mike, have you seen like some of the other Starfort collections on the internet, like where they go through like Germany and France, and then they say like 50 Starforts or 60? And have you seen those lists?
Yeah, I have.
And they're completely wrong.
They are very lacking.
I've got some stuff. Yeah, I've got 315 in the Netherlands, 337 in France. Let me scratch out and get some numbers out.
Yeah, I guess I didn't mean to say that they were wrong. They were just lacking. Like, so much so that they shouldn't make a list.
We don't know each other. That's why.
Yeah.
If they had the benefit, each of them, of a conversation with Mike, we could all start on the same page and push forward.
It's just like I send that mail to Calm, right? Dude, your work is awesome. I love your videos. Oh, I'll gladly send you my KMC. It's got 1,000 files now. I'm like, oh Lord, 1,000?
Was he surprised?
No, he had 1,000 locations for me.
Oh,
I am at this point past 2,500 locations.
And it would be over 3 if we had more people on it, because we have locations we haven't even had time to search yet.
That's it.
Yeah, and you should keep them separate for now, and then you should like compare notes later.
Oh yes.
Got,
if we could shout out areas we haven't gotten to yet and have people homework those areas, we could add to this rather quickly.
Yeah, and like in the end, there will be like this amazing Starfort map we could like show to the world. Like this is
the repository.
Yeah, like this is the Starfort map we never got shown in school.
Well, we got someone on the Discord that is working in the in filling in the mounts and the other castles in the UK, and she uses a bunch of other colors to fill these out, and that sort of starts to look like, where are we?
I do want to speak to her because I have a few old texts that reference destroyed cromlechs and dolmens and mounds.
Yeah, she's
and this is between here and Egypt.
Yeah, I would like to know about mounds as well. We have a lot of them in Denmark, and they are just like easily explained as old burial mounds, but I don't buy it.
Well, that massive mound in Ireland didn't turn out to be a burial mound as they thought for decades.
No, there was something in there. What was it?
They still don't know. I think that the swirls and channels were blood grooves. Because the entire edifice appears to be one massive cromlech.
It's also funny that in Denmark it's punishable to dig into like one random mound in the middle of nowhere. There was like this crazy person in Denmark that tried to dig like into one of the mounds for shelter, allegedly, but she got fined for it. So I guess they are like very protective, like
they're
unreasonably protective about them.
They just don't want anyone digging up the fascies they hid there.
Oh yeah, don't talk about the fascies.
Oh no, don't.
Because it's just a symbol. Remember, Nathan, it's just a symbol. People can't handle it.
It's all too much, man. It's all too much.
Yeah, my axe with the flame top got cold, so I had to wrap it in these different rods. By the way, it's super light.
Oh yeah.
Look, Ma, I made a fascies. No. It's just a symbol.
You need Thanos' gauntlet for that fasci, kid.
Oh yeah, maybe it would have completed Thanos to have like had like a personal fascist weapon as his thing.
Oh,
I've been waiting to see a fascist pop up in one of these sci-fi movies.
Yes. How long have we waited for that? But I'm feeling now that we have notified, or Martin has notified, like at least the deeper layers of the intelligence world, that we're looking into it, and maybe that will produce a Hollywood response. Who knows?
What do you think that 2019 Illuminati card about the flat earthers was about?
It's about that. Okay, I'm saying that like rather conclusively. Okay, I think it's they are giving the flat earthers like this inch of they have something on point, something correct, but there's something that they are not perceiving as well about this whole debacle of the flat earth.
It seems that it's something they're sitting on, something they don't know. And I think that it may be that we find or have found something in these recent searches. And I'm not calling myself a flat earther, but I have joined the searches. But I think that it may have already been found and looked over, and we're missing it.
Yeah.
Because those
I kind of feel
was made a while ago.
I kind of feel as if it's saying that yes, that you have a lot of truth, but you're being misguided. You're going to be misguided by a discussion. Yeah, it's like they and also maybe it's the reference to the model that it was given at the explosion of Flat Earth, because the AE model was pretty quickly up and running, and that model is easily debunked. Well, not easily, but I've seen people debunk it rather like beyond my doubt. So I think that the flat Earth was an ultimate setup because it was so true that it would make people justify being assholes to their friends and families. And it's all, and I think it's like in this communist mind, it's about, severing the closest bonds people have to friends and family and loved ones over something that is, well, in the grand scheme of things, insignificant on the level that you can be a moral up, you can follow Jesus on a flat earth, on a globe earth, on a rectangular earth kind of thing. In that respect, it's totally irrelevant, but it's relevant as for truth, and truth is always relevant. So, but it shouldn't drive you to become an idiot and to severe bonds with friends, and I'm guilty of that as well, because it's very easy. The subject is so is teeming with trigger words, buzzwords, and pre-programmed stuff, and there's no common ground. It's either or in most cases, and yeah, it just proves very divisory
to use those very buzzwords. It's polarizing, and
yes,
rather than understanding, it is a quick jump from one camp into the other, and you don the other side's armor, and you fight for them against people that should be on your side.
The best thing about it is that it drives people to ask a lot of questions, and that's the good thing.
Is good.
That is the good thing, and it's also, and I think I'd say that it's it has a lot of, on the fundamental basic Flat Earth 101. Most of their arguments are like hard to argue against. And when it comes to verifying stuff, we're getting there, I think. And we will soon have updated models. And soon we will see, I guess, the first real attempt to get a peer-reviewed, scientifically peer-reviewed study that claims that the Earth is flat and motionless. And I've heard that there's a guy who's doing, a group of physicists doing that as we speak. And if everything goes well, they will rock the mainstream scientific world very soon.
Good.
Yeah, very good. Also, with all this
fuckers all over the place.
I believe, like, wholeheartedly that 2019 is a year for epic new disclosures on a grand scale that we haven't witnessed before. Like this guy on Netflix. So, there's a lot of talk about a lot of weird documentaries soon coming to Netflix. I think Behind the Curve was just the start. So disclosure year, yeah.
Well, good. Let all these people that never pay attention pay some attention for a change.
Yeah. And that guy, Edward, from the UFO disclosure that will come to Netflix, he says that the people he talked to on the inside are saying to him or telling him that 2019 is going to be the soft disclosure year, and 2020 is going to be tough, like a bigger disclosure year.
Yeah, 2020 is the year when all the people that really don't have a clue will fall on their head.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember the notes for the Bilderberg 2018 conference?
Yes, I remember it saying
the post-truth world.
Yes, the post-truth world. And in X-Files, in one of the last episodes, there is an episode called Dr. They. And it's basically when the X-File man, I can't remember his name, he meets
Duchovny.
Oh yeah, he meets like the final head of the operation, and it's a very ironic scene because you expect that guy to be like a dickhead, but he's actually rather witty and funny, and he talks to Agent Molnar, I think he's called in X-Files, as if like, how are you so stupid that you didn't like look me up in the phone book? I haven't been hiding here. Like, you're just like finding out about me now. He's saying like, shame on you. So it's a funny scene, but he talks about like that the end of the conspiracy era is coming, and that it's a post-co world or post-conspiracy or post-truth world, and that the role of Agent Molnar is basically past. And he asks, like, what age is that? Well, the age wherein people in positions of power thought that they could keep their secrets. That those days are gone, he says. Now we're going into the age of transparency, or maybe that's what he likes to call it. Maybe we could call it the age of honesty, but they would rather say transparency, I think. But it seems like that their counter to that is just to muddy the water with a lot of disinfo. So yeah, and he admits that. It's like, so he asks, like, what has all this conspiracy hype been about then? Was it just to spread disinformation online? And then he says, maybe. So who knows? Maybe there's a deeper meaning to all of this, but it's like, it doesn't seem to be like in the cards that he says something to the effect, well, I cannot control people's minds in this Mandela effect thing, but I don't have to. I only have to suggest or make someone suggest that I can, and then the rest will follow.
Inception.
So yeah, the only thing you need is a laptop, he says, to produce the Mandela effect. And that's very interesting. And that's like the admission of how powerful our perception really is. and how manifestation works and how they use us as like routers in this great energy grid to manifest their transmissions.
The Gestalt effect.
Yeah,
Like it did.
basically. But yeah, I thought it funny that the post-truth world is definitely on the horizon, and that it is admitted in pop culture, and they're talking about it on the Bilderberg meetings.
Well, I think that once the cards are on the table and deception plays a lesser role, then the only thing left, if indeed it is a battle, will be an open battle.
Yeah, but
the
it's not a like as we are reminded in the New Testament, it's not a battle of flesh and blood, but of principalities.
Yes.
So it's all in the mind, and that's where the inside. It's the inner jihad, as in the Quran, the big jihad, the inner fight against yourself that is being waged right now. And that is where the real war against good and evil is being waged, always in the hearts and minds of men.
Guys, I think that was a really good first hour.
Yeah. Should we end it?
I think so. I think we'll just keep it
like
short and sweet. Quit while we're ahead.
Like a teaser, and then you could just ask Andreas to upload it. Also, that would it'd be funny to see his reaction if he wants to get it out there, if he's not in it himself.
If you're interested in trying out the Foundry, just visit tartarynova.com and click on the live chat in the top right. In the Discord, you can ask either Xirtus or one of the Remembrancers or Clerifix. The support of the Patreon has really made a difference and provided a model to produce free speech without censorship. I want to thank you guys again for your support. Those of you who don't know that you're being stalked and watched and listened to through your computer and every website you visit is being monitored, it is, and the best thing you can do to protect your family's security and yourself is to use a proxy network. And so far the best proxy network that I've found is NordVPN. It has 24-hour support, it's super zippy, it's screaming fast, it allows you to access internet as if you're in other places, in case you have blocked region, in case you're experiencing blocked videos, and it's super cheap at $2.99 a month. And the cool thing is if you use my affiliate link, you get a 75% discount, and then I get a referral. It's a great deal for both of us, because we both get something we really need. I want to thank you guys again for your support.